Okay, so here we go. I mentioned in challenge 17 when I was making the page that I was going to do something a little extra this week and kind of give you a behind the scenes of what a day in my life is like. Now, the first thing that when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I make myself a cup of coffee. And what I do is I put some cream in my blender, and then I will put my coffee in that, and then I blend it up and it makes it frothy. And then I had some whipped cream, and that's how I like to have my coffee. But it's certainly the very first thing that I do every morning is make myself a cup of coffee. Now, before I do anything downstairs, I will go up in my craft room and work on a page. Now, if I get upstairs and my craft room is not tidy, that's the first thing that I will do. Although that morning I had just finished a page. I didn't film that, but I did a page and then I proceeded to clean up my craft room. Now, I had some new digital prints, and what I do is almost as soon as I print them, I will make a file for each digital print, and I will separate the digital files into the different files. And these were flowers 1, 2, and 3, and that's exactly how I name the files 1, 2, and 3. So I usually end up in my craft room anywhere between 8 and 9. It just depends on the morning, but normally it's closer to 8, and I usually stay up in my craft room till about noon. And then I will do all kinds of videos, and then I will spend some time every day journaling on some layouts, because I'm trying to get my layouts journaled on and put into albums. And that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. So once, I had done the videos that I wanted to for the day, and then I cleaned up, I go on the other side of the room and I have a pile of layout there that I keep on the side of my desk until they're all journaled and put into albums. And one thing that I'm trying to do is, as soon as I journal on these layouts, I will take a minute and put them in the correct album. I do have an album for each year, but then I also have albums that are specific. So I have albums that are maybe a vacation that I went to, like a New York album or a cruise album. So it's because I know that I took so many pictures of that event, and I'm going to have way more layouts than what will fit in the regular year. And you saw me kind of looking out. There was some kind of ruckus just outside our house, and I was just trying to figure out what was going on. But my mornings are dedicated to being upstairs in my craft room. So that's when I make the Patreon videos. That's when I will journal on my layouts. That's when I make my YouTube videos. It's in the first, 4 hours of my day. That is not the only time that I work on stuff for, Patreon and YouTube, but that's like the physical part of it, actually doing the, filming the videos and that part of it. And then later on, once I get my housework done, then I will work on editing the videos and editing photos and putting, uploading stuff to YouTube and to Patreon. But I've noticed that flow really works for me. I find that especially, in the summertime, my craft room can get extremely hot. So in the morning, it's more comfortable. And I just have more energy in the morning. So that's when I'm going to do the bulk of the work upstairs. Now, I've done the journaling, and that's what I mean. I just take out, this is my 2020 album, and a lot of the pages that I journaled on that day, I kind of cheated and went through the layouts that I had on my desk and kind of chose all the layouts that were 2020, and then that way I could put them away right away. Now every morning when I get up, I make a list of everything I want to do, and I love checking things off. So once I got back downstairs, I looked at my list, and the next thing I needed to do was some laundry and to clean out the kitchen. So I just went and got my basket of clothes, and I'm going to put my first load of laundry on. And the night before, my daughter had brought me a couple of bags of Mason's clothes, and they're in the dryer right now, so I'll be taking those out of the dryer and I'll be folding those. And as you can tell, there's like teddy bears and stuff. My daughter is moving, so she just wants to, you know, have everything cleaned out. And Diesel is my little companion all day. That was his first appearance, but it won't be his last. And as you can tell there, I just threw his ball so that he would go get it. And while I was in there, I took my little brush and I kind of cleaned the top of the washer and dryer, just kind of dusted them off. So I'm kind of folding all his clothes, and then I'll just get a garbage bag and I'll put everything in the bag. And then that night we were seeing them at hockey, and I just brought all his stuff. So this was one of his blankets. He has like a blanket with that's all NHL teams. And I have to say, that's probably my least favorite part of doing laundry is folding clothes. But most of the time, my husband and I kind of have a little agreement. I will wash the clothes and he will fold the clothes and put them away. But this, because we were, you know, in a few hours going to meet them at the hockey practice, I wanted to make sure that his stuff was all ready to go, and that once I got all this done, I just put it by the door and made sure that it was ready to go for that evening. Now, usually what I do is while I'm, you know, doing laundry, doing my dishes, I will take my phone, because I film with my phone. I have to download the videos to my computer. So I will do that while I'm doing the dishes, because it does take quite a bit of time for me to transfer videos from my phone to my computer. So I will, you know, hit upload to my computer, and then I'll go and I'll get some dishes done. And while I'm doing all of that, I usually have a audiobook playing, and I have an earbud in my ear, and I will be doing two things at once, you know, actually three things at once. I'll be downloading videos, I'll be doing my dishes or vacuuming, and I'll be listening to an audiobook. And then always as I get stuff done, you know, I even do how many loads of laundries I want to do. You know, I want to do 2 loads of laundry, and then I look at my list, and the next thing I got to do is vacuuming. And there's, you saw Diesel, or you saw Ace, and now you see Diesel. The main reason that I have to vacuum every day, and sometimes twice a day, is because of the 2 puppies. And Diesel noticed the camera, so I thought I'd leave that in because it was kind of cute. He walked right up to the camera. But I will probably vacuum maybe 20-25 minutes. Around, by that time it's probably around 12:31. I'll vacuum 20-25 minutes, and then before I start the next part of my day, I will usually vacuum again. So the next part is cleaning up the kitchen, just the few little things that, you know, needs to be done. If the dishwasher needs to be emptied, I will empty the dishwasher. You know, if there's cans laying on top like there is right now, I'll go get one of, I'll bring it to the bag, or if there's quite a few cans, I will bring one of the garbage cans that we keep them in because we recycle those, and I will put them away. Then I make sure that I wash, you know, like in this case, I'm just kind of cleaning up the dishwasher. I kind of look and see if any of my doors that need to be cleaned down, because, you know, there's always something that gets spilled. And then I will clean the top of all my counters, because usually what I do is in the morning I work on my stuff upstairs, and then in the afternoon I am working on bath and body products, because I'm going to be starting a bath and body company, like a soaping company. So right now I'm kind of building the inventory. I'm, you know, making soaps and bath bombs and all that kind of stuff. So I make sure that I clean up my kitchen very well, you know, with soap and everything, and even a lot of the equipment that I will be using, then I disinfect those. So that's why I usually end up vacuuming twice, because I want to make sure that everything is dog hair free before I start. Now I bought this little calyx container, and it's 4x4, and I made sure that there's like it's all enclosed, so it has doors and drawers, and that's where I keep all my soap products. So now I'm ready to make soap. So I'm going and getting all the oils and all the good stuff that goes into soaps, and even, you know, all the, like I have Pyrex containers that I melt the oils in, and then I have, you know, plastic containers that are okay for taking on a lot of heat to mix the lye water solution to make soaps. So the first thing I do is I make sure that I take everything out, because once I start, you have to gear up. You have to put, you know, some goggles. I have to put an apron and a mask and some gloves. So I make sure that everything is out and ready to go, and then I gear up and I get the first part done. To make 2 5-pound loaves of soaps, it takes about 4 hours. I have to make sure that I get the lye solution done, which is what I'm doing right now. And that's the part where I have to make sure that I wear glasses, you know, goggles, and a mask and an apron. And then I mix all the solutions, and then I put, you have to mix them together, which is, it releases like this toxic fume. So what I do is I do it right below where my fan is, and I have my fan going on full blast. And because I'm making 2 soaps, I'm getting 2 of those ready. And I always get the lye ready first. Then I measure out the oils and I melt them in a pot. So I already start the water. And at this point, I can take the mask off. So because I'm done that toxic stuff. I've done that part, and it's under the fan, and it's not bothersome anymore. So I can take that mask off, because it can kind of make it really hot. And I'm going to be buying a gas mask respirator, because a lot of the stuff that I make, there's a lot of particles in the air, and I just want to make sure that I, don't wreck my lungs. So that's, I'm going to be probably purchasing that today, so I'll have it in the next couple of days. Because I've noticed that a lot, especially when you make bath bombs and shampoo bars and that kind of stuff, there's way more particles that are in the air. So This part here takes me about 2 hours, measuring out the lye solution and the water, measuring out all the oils, melting the oils, and usually I will do this part, get the oils melted and have them all together, and then it takes about 2 hours for everything to cool down, and then at that point I'll go and do something else until that is ready. Okay, so I just thought that I would kind of give you a different angle here. So you see my big Pyrex bowl, and I measure all the different oils. I have, 4 solid oils, if you will, like they're, as you can tell, kind of solid. And I only have one big Pyrex container. So while the first batch is melting, I still want to keep measuring, so I measure in this other one until the first batch is melted, and I'm stirring it right now on the stove, and I'm stirring the lye. And I just found that for the lye, the safest place for it is on top of my stove. And usually once I get the oils melted and put in my containers where I will mix my soap, then I take those big Pyrex cups and I will put those lye containers inside of it so that they can't get tipped over. Okay, so now all my oils, everything's ready. It's cooling down. So while it's cooling down, we usually go for our 4K walk. We only go for 4Ks when we go in the middle of the day because my husband has 1 hour for lunch. So we walk for about 40 minutes, and then we come back and he has time to quickly eat. He has 20 minutes to eat, and then he has to go back to work. So when we come back, it's been about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, maybe an hour since I've mixed all the oils. Now I'm ready to get the second part of everything ready. Before I start making soaps, I got to mix the colorants. So basically the colors that I'm making the soaps. The 2 soaps I'm making that day is cucumber melon and cocoa cabana, which the cucumber melon is, I'm going to make it green and pink, and the cocoa cabana, I'm going to be calling it Parley Beach, and that's the beach that's close to where we live. So I'm going to make it, blues, and then I'm going to make a brown foundation, sort of like where the sand is. So I have these little cups where I mix in my micas. The micas have to be mixed in oil, and the white is called titanium dioxide, and it's got to be mixed with water. Also at this point, I measure out the fragrance to go into the soaps. So it's been a little bit again. I probably did some video editing and all that kind of stuff while I was waiting for everything to come to temperature. I have an infrared thermometer, and I always take the temperature and everything. It's got to go down to a certain temperature before you start making soaps. So at this point, I'm adding the additives. I add kaolin clay and some coconut milk in my soap, and then I just poured in the lye solution with the soap. And then at this point, you got to blend it, and you got to mix it until you reach trace. And what that means is that the molecules of oils bind with the lye. At this point, the lye is very dangerous, but as it goes through the process of saponification, then it becomes soap and it is safe to use. So at this point, I'm adding the colors into each of the containers. I kind of divided my batch. I am mixing everything, and then I will start pouring it into the mold. So usually what I do is I normally do 2 soaps at once, because whether I measure for one soap or two soap or make two, one or two, it takes quite a bit of time. And so I'd rather be making the mess for two than in just one. Now, every oil, fragrance oil, is very different, and this oil here smells very nice, but it's not a very well behaved fragrance oil. Like, it thickened up really quickly. So yes, I did fast forward this, but I was moving pretty quickly because I wanted to make sure that I got the soap into the mold. And then at some point here in a few seconds, I called to Josh to come and help me, and we'll get a different view of the soap. So okay, so now we're getting a top view. So I kind of put the bulk of it in the mold, and now I'm kind of making, little fancy designs on top. I'm adding some green and then some white, and then I'm going to take a skewer and I'm going to mix it up. And as you can tell, it's super, super thick. It doesn't affect the soap, it's just it makes it really difficult for the soaper to make the soap. I'm kind of taking a spoon and adding some edges, and then I'm going to swirl the top. And that is the first soap done. So at this point, I clean up everything. I clean up all the containers and everything, and then I start making the second soap right away. So this one is the Pearly Beach one. So again, I've just added the lye, or no, I haven't yet. I'm mixing my kaolin clay and my coconut milk, and once that is nice and combined, then I will add my lye, because as soon as you add the lye, everything starts kind of binding together, and if you blend it too much, then the soap coming to a trace really quickly, that will happen, and then it makes it hard for you to put it in the mold. But a lot of times the fragrance that you use helps slow down the trace, which is the case with this fragrance that I'm using for my Pearly Beach soap. This one is going to be a little different because, like I said, I want to make a part that looks like the sand, and then I'm going to let it sit there, and then eventually it's going to harden, like maybe 5 minutes. I'm just going to let it sit for about 5 minutes in the mold, and then it's going to make it so that when I add the other stuff on top, it's not going to sink into it. It's going to sit on top because I'm kind of creating a scenery with this soap. And that's why I'm doing it first. I'm going to put that down inside the mold. I'm going to scrape the container as much as I can. And then that's why I'm not doing the other colors yet, because I don't want my soap to come too thick. I want the soap in the mold to get thick, but not the soap that's not colored yet. So it's kind of a tricky thing, because you want one part, to kind of move forward, and then the other part, you don't want it to move forward yet. So again, while I'm waiting, I always try to clean up. So all those containers of oils that I had taken out to kind of measure out everything, all that is already put away. I always try to kind of clean up as I go, because otherwise at the end of it, it's a big mess to clean up. And as you saw there, that was Josh that came out. He's trying to learn how to play the guitar. Okay, so now the brown is ready. It seems to be thick enough. So now I'm going to mix the other colors. I have a dark blue, a light blue, and some white. And the reason I did that, because I wanted to be Pearly Beach. I wanted to have two different colors of blues, and then the white is like kind of the foam, if the water is being stirred quite a bit. And then I also, inside of each of my soaps, I put a little heart, and I made those a few days before. You got to make them in a column mold, and then I can put them in the center of each of my soaps. Okay, so I enlisted Josh's help again, just so I could show you. You saw the brown on the bottom, and now I'm adding the blue, and then I'm going to add the other darker blue inside. And I've since changed the way I do this soap, but you know, live and learn. And then I'm going to take a skewer and mix it up so that it's a little mixed up. Then I'm going to take that yellow heart, and then when I cut through the soap, that yellow heart is going to be there. So I'm going to add some more of that lighter blue. I'm going to finish off that little container pretty much. And then I'm going to let the soap harden a little bit because I want to make it look like it's waves. So again, at this point, I am doing all the dishes, and I still wear gloves to do these dishes because until the soap is saponified, you can get a chemical burn from the lye. So no minutes is wasted. While I was waiting for one thing, I just make sure that I clean as much as I can. And now I'm going to work on, you know, forming the top. So I'm kind of took the spoon and kind of lifted the sides so that it kind of looks like wave. But I'm going to do this 2 or 3 times so that it gets quite high. And then I put a little bit of the darker blue and a little bit of the white. And then I'm going to, you know, swirl it. And then I'm going to use the spoon again. So it's quite a fun process. Like, I really enjoy making soap. It does take, you know, quite a bit of time, but I find that the results, I really like the soap. I've had quite a few people tell me that once they use this kind of soap, they don't want to go back to, you know, the soaps you get in the stores. I've done a bit of research, and the soaps in the stores, what they do is they actually take away the moisturizing stuff out of it and do more of the cleansiness so that your skin gets dry, so that you have to buy cream to moisture your soap again. But not only that, the creative part of me really loves making all the different soaps and just kind of thinking of, you know, different ways that I could do the soaps. So I've done, you know, the sides up probably 4 or 5 times, and then added more blue and white until I kind of ran out. And then I take the skewer one last time and kind of work the top. And at that point, I still had more dishes to do. So I finished the dishes, and then it was time to go to Mason's hockey. So I had to make him a peanut butter sandwich, get him some water ready. And then here he is. He's at the very left side. He's wearing yellow. He's going around the orange cone right now. He was pretty tired, but he's gonna, it's an hour and a half long practice. So it is quite a long practice. So this is one drill that they do. And then I've put in one more drill where they're practicing, you know, pretending they're in a game. He's at the very, he's on the left side of the screen again. He's wearing the yellow jersey. In a few seconds, you'll see him coming down the ice. And that'll be the last thing that I'll show you for this video. But when I came home, it was probably like 7:30, and I still had some editing to do, videos to do and upload to YouTube and to Patreon. And my day, that day, ended at 10 o'clock at night. And not all days are like that, but a lot of the days I start at 8 o'clock in the morning and I go to at least 7, 8, 9 o'clock. Not always, you know, getting things done around the house or videos, but running around, having to go to Mason's practice and other commitments that I have. So over the years, I've had several people ask me, like, how do you, plan out your day? How do you get as much as you do done? Mason's in the middle there. And I just thought it would be fun to kind of do a video like this to show you exactly how one of my days go.